I considered appearing on camera and making a brand new video where I lay out all the evidence that I've compiled about how cattle mutilations are a divine warning. And I know a lot of strange and incredible patterns connected to this process. But I don't think there's anything I could say here that would connect or matter. The patterns, the earthquakes, the volcanoes, the floods in Argentina, the last mutilation, the formula that predicts all of this, the locations and their historic connection to the cattle industry, the demonstration of divine attributes. I can show you the decoded thoughts and processes of a divine entity, and it will be met with crickets. I can tell you that the sun turned in to a bison 100,000 miles long 3 days after I found the connection between bison territory in North America and cattle mutilations. That happened. You'll either dismiss it as coincidence or ignore it completely. I sent my book outlining all of this evidence and more to about 30 different people, friends and family. I got maybe one or two that actually read it. Maybe. So what's the point? Mutilations have stopped. You won't find another one. Argentina is in big trouble. There's volcanic activation occurring this year concurrently with extremely anomalous earthquakes south of the continent. 3 that surpassed anything since 1910. 7.4, 7.5, 7.6 on the Richter scale. There is a volcano west of Argentina that had 1,600 earthquakes in one day in April. It's been rising about 4 centimeters a month. Another volcano that activated for the first time in 10 years. Floods in Buenos Aires and elsewhere. The worst the area has seen since the 1980s. In general, these areas that have been flooded repeatedly are the same locations that show up when I run my formula. Cordoba, La Pampa, Buenos Aires. They show up in the top 10 mutilation risk values in the world. If you take this to a more general pattern, in 1975, 7 of the top 10 highest mutilation risk values had highly anomalous volatile weather. Flash forward to 2025, the current year. All of the top 10 had volatile weather. Well, what about other places that have lower mutilation risk values on Earth? In 1975, 0 of the bottom 30 values had anomalous volatile weather. So it's not climate change. In 2025, the current year, 2 of the bottom 30 values had anomalous volatile weather. This climatic volatility is correlated with the mutilation risk of that place. The industrial processing of livestock as a replacement for long-term hunting traditions divided by how fast it was replaced. Those 3 variables predict all of these things. The ultimate hot zone is Argentina. It had the last mutilation. It had almost as many mutilations as North America in less than a third of the space. Texas. The mutilation phenomenon lasted roughly from 1975 to 2025. In Austin, Texas, there was a flood in both of these years. Worse, the second time, as you guys probably know, in July. Austin was the legislative center for the eradication of bison. It was the planning hotspot, the engine of the bison eradication. Austin gets hit both times. Its mirror in Buenos Aires is Bahia Blanca. It was hit in 1975 with a flood, and then again in 2025 with a more powerful flood. I'm sure that's nothing. I'm sure that's meaningless. Queensland is the mirror to these two, became the engine for the cattle industry in Australia in the 1880s. Also gets hammered with volatile weather in 1975 and 2025. Also, cattle mutilation hotspot shows up in the top 10 when I run the numbers. Volatile bracketing, 1975 to 2025, that you see basically only in high mutilation risk locations. And every one of those locations in the top 10 had escalated volatility in 2025 compared to 1975. All right, I've said enough about that. I just wanted to get all of this out there. I predicted extreme solar activity because it's been every other month since July. July had the solar prominence that looked like a bison or a cow, 100,000 miles long. And then August had the 7.5 earthquake in the Drake Passage, the second large earthquake this year in the Drake Passage over a 7.0. And then September, there was a 186,000-mile wide solar hole shaped like a butterfly. October 10th, 7.6 earthquake, so it's every other. It goes seismic, solar, seismic, solar. So November, it made sense it was going to be a solar month. So look out for extreme seismic activity in December, maybe in the Drake Passage, maybe further inland. Volcanic chain activation will continue to escalate. That's a second prediction, in addition to the earthquake activity off the coast of Argentina. And mutilations will stay paused. The last one, June 4th, fully substantiated with clear photos, a name, a location, a date, and they reported it to the authorities. Contrast this with the report that came out October 10th, coincidentally the same day as the 7.6 earthquake off the coast of Argentina in the Drake Passage. No name, no location, no date, blurry photos, and they said they didn't report it to authorities. Get out of here. That's never going to count. So if something pops up like that, that's not a refutation of the pause. Real mutilations, I would be shocked if they came back. It's over. We've moved on to what I call the pedagogical pause, where now Argentina is being consistently and in an escalating fashion punished repeatedly in multiple modes. Floods targeting the high mutilation risk zones, earthquakes off the coast, increased volcanic activity. It's just getting worse, and I think it's just getting started. So this all just flows from the logic of cattle mutilations being a divine warning. That's what they were. They were a clear demonstration of divine attributes aligned with something like the mythological Artemis archetype. Perfect precision, perfect stealth, perfect speed, perfect logic as laid out in the formula that I've described, and perfect exclusion. The work, the art form of the mutilations is never mixed in with anthropogenic human artifacts or effects. No coyotes, no tracks, no scavengers, no nothing, no tire tracks. Absolute perfect exclusion of anything that would mess up the perfect presentation. the presentation of perfection, of divinity. And this was not just achieved once. This dark miracle occurred thousands of times across 3 continents and 5 decades. And now it's done. So do you believe any of this? You can check it for yourself. You can look up the volcanic chain activation. You can look up the earthquakes off the coast of Argentina. You can look up the highly anomalous flooding and where it's occurred in Argentina. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned.